So welcome everyone to this healing class, and today we're gonna use a little different format, and that is that the ones that are present here can ask a question, and we'll see what answer appears on that. But first, I would love to say, remember with you where this all starts, and that is like you were born as a it appears to be that you were born in the flesh and you are going to be changed in that sense, and recognizing that you're actually born from the Spirit. And that's so very nice being said by Paul in this letter to the Romans. So that's why I want to share that with you first. But yeah, so we come into the remembering of who we really are. And you can do that now by just relaxing and letting this flow over you as you and let yourself be affected by everything that's being said. Because you might not know, but it is your experience of this can be as deep as you want. Like there's no limit to it. So the invitation is to go deeper and deeper into this and let your consciousness be expanded like it was never expanded before. And that is part of the healing process, and that's part of what healing is. It's like you allow something to occur to you you've never been even dreamt of. And always expanding the borders that you thought were there, always going to the edges of your consciousness to discover if there is more, or go deeper inside yourself to experience even deeper love or deeper freedom like you've never experienced before. And that will help you to remember who you really are, because you are literally born from the Spirit. Like you're not this fleshy, bony thing that appears to sit on a chair or lay in a bed or walk around on this planet Earth, but you are spirit. Like you are unlimited. You're not bound by anything but your own ideas about yourself. And if your ideas about yourself are changing and you allow something else to grow and you allow new experiences to come to you, this can be an incredible expansion of yourself, your idea about yourself. Like you encounter yourself as a spacious self. Okay, so this is also being said by Paul in this letter a couple of years ago, maybe 2000 or something, I don't know. Like time doesn't really exist in this. Okay. So Romans 8, and then I start in the fifth sentence. For those who are in the flesh are governed by the flesh, and those who are in the Spirit are governed by Spirit. For the mind of the flesh is death, and the mind of Spirit is life and peace. Because the mind of the flesh is hatred toward God, for it does not subject to the law of God, because it cannot be. And those who are in the flesh cannot please God. But if you're not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if truly the Spirit of God dwells within you, but if a man does not have the Spirit of the Messiah in him, this does not belong to him. But if the Messiah is in you, if your Christ consciousness is in you, the body is dead for the cause of sin, but the Spirit is alive for the cause of righteousness. And if the Spirit of him who raised our Lord Jeshua, like Jesus, the Messiah, from among the dead dwells within you, he who raised Jeshua the Messiah from among the dead also will give life to your dying bodies because of his Spirit who dwells within you. Okay, so this is quite something. So you're being born of the flesh, but it appears like that. But in this awakening process, you basically start to remember who you really are. And this remembering who you really are is a very joyous one, because it takes away the idea of death. Like, this body appeared on this earth, it appears to be like being born, it lives a while and then it dies. Like, that's this human story. And if you think that you're this, then that whole story is taking place right in front of you, or you're being part of that. But if you know your true nature, you become free of those laws, and you become aware of what you actually are, and that is like spirit. Like, you have a spiritual consciousness. So to connect with that is like being in touch with the light and love that you are, and seeing that everywhere and expanding it, and seeing it everywhere, because you look right through the appearances of so-called others being bodies, or others dying, or all of that. Like, you cannot um, believe that anymore. You want to see right through it and see it for what it is. Apparently, your dead body doesn't have anything to do with the character that appeared to be in that body before. It's like a dead body is really a dead body, and that's an amazing occurrence. Like, if you see yourself as and see the people that appear to be living around you, and somebody appears to die, and suddenly he's gone, and it's like as if he was never here. So that makes it. You can almost feel that like that body had nothing to do with this person. And where would he go if he would die? Where would he go? Would he disappear, or would he just, no. The nature of your spirit, like a spirited, say, a spirited body, is something completely different than a dead body. That's obvious. So the spirit that is in man it has nothing to do with his body, because it is there no matter if the body is there or not. But for sure, if the body is dead, it is as dead as it can be. That's to me always amazing when I see a dead body. Like, well, that has nothing to do with life whatsoever. It has nothing to do with this person either. It appears to have the shape still, but that's not who this person was at all. So it is really nice to connect with anyone. Even if people pass on, you can still connect with them, of course, because where are they? They are in your consciousness. So they are available for you. Like, there's nothing lost in that. So anyway, I'm starting to get really hot. Like, I don't know what gets hot, but I have to take off this shirt. um, okay, so today, like I said, it was just a warming up for the questions that will come, and I hope you join me in this, and see what happens when we work together like this. So if anyone has a question in the group that is present in this video room, please let me know what the question that's right on your lips right now. Or if you really would love to listen, I will just continue. It really doesn't matter. So is there anyone who wants to ask something? Has a question like, well, how's this? How's that?
William, one of the things that to me seems fairly profound is, and you said it earlier, about remembering who we are versus about learning who we are. And I think one is more based on experience, i.e., remembering, and learning is more the student path learning through other people's experience and teachings. Um, I just think that's an interesting comparison between learning and remembering. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, see, the learning that we do in this infinite way is totally different than the learning that you do in the world. Like it would be remembering the lines that Joel said, or remembering the principles of healing or whatever. Like you can remember them till forever, but still not know what they say. So to experience it is where this is about. That's the same as spiritual vision. Like if you see one thing with spiritual vision, that's just being open to you. Like you, I'll elaborate on that a little bit more, because it is such a nice way to express it. Like if you I use this example of the dead body. If you see a dead body, that's not the guy that was before, So to see that is already basically looking beyond the form, because you have no choice. This body was never like, this body was never this person. You know what I'm saying?
Outside here and watch a video.
Oh, there's somebody talking. Okay, you got your phone up. So it is like seeing this dead body is never the same as talking to this person that appeared to be there before. Like suddenly he appears to be gone. So this is the start of, if you see it like that, it's the start of spiritual vision, because basically there's something else to connect with. It is not that body. So that will never give you the recognition of being who you are. But spiritual vision is then to see this in a different light, to see, okay, there's another way of looking at this, and I can even be in contact with this being, whoever appears to be passing away. I can be in contact with him because he didn't go anywhere. It's like, but once you have that experience, like it will extrapolate to all kinds of situations and all kinds of ways. Like you see it in a different light, and that is then suddenly the possibility of it is in everything that you see. It's not just limited to this one example. It's not like maths, when you learn to do one equation, then the next one, well, you're not sure if you're going to solve that. But spiritual vision is, once it is opened, you cannot close it again. Like you cannot, you're basically denying if you would see something else, and that. So it's always an invitation to use this spiritual vision all the time. And because you can use it, and it's such a delight to be able to do it. So that's that would be an example of like opening of how learning works in this. And this learning is not really a learning process at all. It is like suddenly you see something, and that's really a shift in your consciousness, and you will never see things the same again. It's a quantum leap. That is what it is. So that's the great thing about this this path and being and so-called studying it, even though you don't study anything, but you allow a different vision to come to you by stepping back out of your. You step back out of your the way you're used to looking at things. So that is that's what I would say about that. Does that answer your question, Charles?
It does, absolutely. And like you said, it's the truth is alive, right? So becoming aware of it and then incorporating that into our awareness. Right?
Yeah, and once you see it everywhere and everything. You cannot ignore it anymore. It's inevitable that you're going to see it. So is there anyone else who wants to ask a question?
Yeah, I want to ask a question. Um, it's about the Romans 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just paraphrasing actually. There's I think it's been said that so be the Spirit of God dwells in you,
Yeah.
then you are a child of God. And if you are after the thing of the Spirit, then you are being subjected under the law of God. And of course, you are not after the things of the Spirit. Of course, you are not being subjected under the law of God. You are not a child of God. But I know in the infinite way teaching, there's just when as God is, only one Spirit is. That is, or if as God is, nothing else is. So that implies
Mm-hmm.
there's just the Spirit of God that is actual. So I think the realization of the present uh, can be that if you realize the presence of the Spirit or the presence of the Father, of course, then you are being subjected under the law of God. But with respect to the Roman 8, can you give some explanation about it?
Yeah, I can certainly do that. Like the thing that he says is like when you believe you're this, you're under the laws of this. Like you cannot please God. He says, you know, it's like you will not be able to be in contact with God. Like you will not have like a new experience of you in connection with God. You will not have that because you think you are this. So you're connected to the whole frame of reference of a human being. Like you limit yourself literally by the frame of reference that you choose. So if you say like, okay, this can't be it, there must be something else, then that something else can show you that there is more and that this is not real at all. You know, and that there's another world that has nothing to do with this one, where you are in perfect communication with every aspect of creation. You know, but so an important point is the idea of when you believe that you live in this world and that you're this body walking around on planet Earth, and that you have a couple of years and then you will pass on and maybe come in heaven. Like a lot of people think that way. And then it's like, if you believe that, that will happen because you have no experience of something that goes beyond it, because you don't want it. You want to believe that this is you. You identified with it. So does that answer your question, Chris?
Yeah, of course. Then there's another question about of course if the Spirit of God dwells in you, of course you are a child of God and you are joined heir with Christ. Now, or that we are joined heir with Christ. So in this point, who is the joint heir? Because of course there's just one Spirit.
Yeah.
Just one Son of God.
Yeah.
And he's a Father that is actually manifesting himself or expressing himself as a child of God, right?
Yeah.
Now, under normal circumstances, Christ has to be the heir of God. Now, if we are joint heir, it implies that, I don't know, I'm thinking, or is it that we as the human beings, we are joint heir with the Christ, we respect the realization of the presence of the Christ, or we are just being joint heir? I don't know how I can explain it actually. You know, that is, if the human beings, we are joint heir with Christ, because Christ is the Son of God, so automatically Christ is the heir of God. You know, but now if we are joint heir with Christ, implies that what I'm asking, if we as human beings, we are joint heir with Christ.
Yeah. Well, no, you're not.
You know.
Yeah, you're not.
So who is the person who is joint heir with Christ?
Yeah.
Those are two individuals actually.
So this is what Paul says a lot. You have to die daily. You have to die to your human consciousness in order to be uplifted in your spirit consciousness. It's like there's no place where the two meet. Like there's no way to get this as a human being. You can't get this because you believe this is real. Like that is how strict these laws are. Like you believe this, so this is your reality, so-called reality, which is basically an illusion. So you will never be in touch with the Christ consciousness as a human being. That's impossible. You have to come to the point where you discover, it's like, oh my God, this cannot be it. There has to be something else. And then woof, there's suddenly the teaching of Joe, or there's another teacher, or whatever happens in your life. But you come to the point that you see, like, this is useless what we're doing here. This cannot be it. There has to be more. You know, and then it can open. So you have to be born of the Spirit in order to get it. Like I'm using the words of Paul, but like however you want to say this, you have to come to yourself. You have to go inward and meet the Christ inside of you in order to live in spirit.
So so implies the form or the appearance that actually realize the presence of Christ that is in this world but not of this world. Can it be the appearance that is the joint of, I mean, the person that had actually realized the presence of the Christ, to realize his true identity, you know?
Yeah.
Can there be the joint heir with Christ? Because there is actually living in space and time, but Christ is living in eternity.
Yeah.
So
the two don't meet in that sense. They don't meet. You will never, yes. That's not possible to combine the two. But see, there's the thing that you want to do is try to understand how this actually is working. So, and that there's no use in doing that either. So what you're trying to understand is not helpful to you in the end.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, no, just relax. You are already on the path of waking up to the Christ in you, to make a real contact with the Christ in you, of being that, and discover that you are that Christ yourself. So let that process occur. Your understanding is not helpful, even though you might want to figure things out, so that you do what you have to do. But that's not really going to be helpful, because with your human mind, with your conceptual mind, you can't get this. This is beyond that.
Okay.
To be in your expanded consciousness, you don't use your human mind at all, and you actually know things. When you come into an experience of your oneness, of your Christ consciousness, you know. Like you don't have to turn anything on for that, or you don't have to recite, or you just know. That's a given. And it appears to be very strange to a human being that is a possibility. But that's because we think so limited as human beings. Like it's a very contracted kind of personality structure. It's very contracted. So that's why if you open up, you become more spacious, and it's like, you don't care about things anymore that much. You don't worry so much anymore. You let it all go. All these human things, like human habits and preoccupations, you let those go, and then suddenly there's more space in your mind to have a different experience of yourself. So you can't understand it, because if you start to understand it, then you are contracting it already, and then that needs to explode in that sense. You need to explode that whole thing. You don't need that anymore.
Yeah, that is the point actually, because when I go through, of course, as you just said, I'm trying to use intellect as the mind to understand it.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, the mind cannot actually understand infinity, but I'm trying to do it.
No.
That's why I'm having errors, So when I go, I stop off somewhere, I try to think, those are the things. I think what you just said is good to allow the spirit to reveal it. Because the mind of Christ can understand it actually.
Yeah, and that means in general, like, to have a different vision about how this works with your mind too. Like, your mind is a servant. It is not an autonomous thing. like it's a servant for your heart. So whatever you do, feel what is going on. You feel what is going on. Like your love for God will bring you to all kinds of places. You might use your mind to find a book or whatever, but it will always be your servant and not the master.
Okay.
Your heart is the master. Like your love for God will send you in the right direction, and your mind is useful for doing the things that you need to do, but it's always directed from the heart and not from anywhere else. And the heart is then your Christ heart, your Christ mind. But that's heart and mind together. But then always mind as a servant. So that might help to, like if you're struggling with certain situations, you go back to what does your heart say. That is a very good, it's like that's good guidance, because it is connected to your essence, to your love, to the love that you are. And let that speak instead of anything else. So then I don't have to explain anything to you anymore, because you feel what is right. When you feel your love for God, and who cares what else is there, who cares how you need to do this? Like, no, this is the essence of it. That's your experience of yourself, is the love that you are. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure.
What comes to mind, Wim, is the scripture, every knee shall bow, every tongue confess that Christ is Lord.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, it's like the intellectual mind, or that part of us that, our personality will at some point, it'll acknowledge the Christ within, right? And become secondary, like you said, a servant to the light or to the Christ. Does that make sense?
Yeah, our personality, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's more like you will express this Christ contact in your own individual way. Like whatever this is still going to be your subjective experience of reality, but it will be a subjective experience, like your experience. So that's very important. So the way that's going to be expressed is exactly also very subjective, exactly what is the way for you. And that's why it's very nice. It's like, okay, your ego, whatever that is going to be undone, but then all the talents and characteristics that you hold, that your talents, so to speak, are going to be used for expression of the Christ that you are. So then you're basically back in this earth with your Christ consciousness and expressing yourself in the way that you are. Exactly in the Christopher way that Christopher is, it's like, and the Charles way that Charles is, like everything is going to be used at the same time, but then coming from the other direction, instead of that Christopher is wanting something, or Charles is doing something because he wants so badly, or he wants to reach his own goals, or whatever, like some egotistical goal that you have. So that is, that's maybe that's the confusing part of it too. But it's very clear to me that once there's a shift of the direction of the flow, like you become spirit infused, so to speak, and your Christ is expanding itself. It will expand itself in exactly your way. Like it will be very recognizable for yourself. It's the most natural thing for you to occur, and that is so great about this. Like there's literally nothing lost. All that is real and useful to you will stay with you, and all that is not necessary anymore will just disappear. So your human identifications will just disappear, because it's useless in the expression of yourself. So that's what I really love about this, and that's very useful. Yeah. So let me know if there's anyone who has a question or anything, and we're continuing expressing that and using that in expressing.
Um, just actually not a question, but something to explain to give some light on it. You know, Joe said something about that he actually gave an experiment
Mm-hmm.
that we should actually see if we are in our true reality being found in anywhere in our physical body. You understand? It started from the feet to the legs and up to somewhere else in the head. So after reading it, I came to realize that actually, in reality, I'm not found in any part of this body.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? So the question is, what is the relationship between the Christopher and the Christ? That is, of course, sorry, because I'm asking a lot of technical questions, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because in a reality, in a spiritual point of view, or in a true reality, I'm not actually found in this body, but this body is something like I am the author of this body. In the point of, in my true reality, I control this body because I'm not found in this body.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no place in this body that actually I'm being found in. So the question is, yeah, where where am I actually? You know, is this body in part of the consciousness of Christ? Because of course there's only one consciousness, the Christ consciousness, of course. Now the question is this body, the Christopher, is a part of it? And if it is a part of it, what actually makes it to occur? Yes, I'm still asking those type of, so I'm sorry. You know, because after looking at it, I found that I'm not actually there. You know, because normally the language that we use, we always say, this is my hand,
Mm-hmm.
or these are my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
or these are my feet. So it implies that there's somebody that is this body actually belong to something else.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
we speak those things unconsciously, you know.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
question is, as I said, is this body a part of the Christ consciousness? And if it is, how do they relate? Question.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a bit on what I just said. It has to do with what I just shared with you, and that's the fact, like the Christopher is a package of memories, right? Like this is full of memories. You store them. It's an expression of your genetic material that passed on from one generation to the other. So there's a lot of elders connected to them, and things in the future that will go happen. Like this is all. This is a memory package. So this Christopher discovered that there must be something else. Yeah, there got to be more than this. So I got my human life, but it cannot be totally fulfilling. I'm looking for something that's completely fulfilling. And then suddenly something happens. Like it is like Christopher that was in this was like in an egg, but this egg cracked open a little bit, and suddenly there's light shining in Christopher's system. So this light that comes into your system is going to be like starting a purification process of these memories. They all ask for healing, so they all come up for healing, and no matter how that's going to look, your consciousness is growing, like your Christ consciousness is growing at the same time. You nurture your Christ child, and that is expanding by itself. And suddenly something happens, because the Christopher that was there before, that appeared to be in this memory package, suddenly becomes an instrument for the Christ consciousness that he became aware of, that he is, that he remembered that he was, that he remembers that he is. So now this memory package is going to be used to express your Christ consciousness. It's like you become an instrument of God, because you don't want to use this anymore for your own goals, your personal goals or whatever, but you say like, okay, here I am. This is what, like, this is my individual, personal, subjective experience of myself being in this world, but not of it. And if there's anything I can do, let me know. So then your mission starts on this planet. Your mission starts because people will come to you. Memories of situations come to you. You start to express yourself. You get very excited about this process. You get very excited about the light, and you start to literally bring light into this dream that you created before as the Christopher that you thought you were. So the Christopher basically heals his own dream. He's the light of his own world. He's the Christ light in his world. All the relationships that he has are being healed. All the situations that he was in are being healed. And he comes into the present moment and being pure Christ consciousness until he disappears into that light and becomes completely, disappears completely into the heart of God. And that is like the blueprint of this process. Like, that's literally, so your body is first, you are born as being Christopher, but you are changing in this process of awakening, and suddenly you start to discover who you really are, and then suddenly you see that you became an instrument in bringing light into this world, and extending the love that you are.
It's just sorry. Of course, that's when you've just used a word, an instrument.
Yeah.
So if I might understood you, is it that the Christ consciousness, or that the Christ live in eternity, that is in the now, but the Christopher,
Mm-hmm.
can it be that the Christopher is an instrument
Mm-hmm.
that God, the Father, is trying to express himself in time and space?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But not anymore under Christopher's control.
Okay. Yeah.
So Christopher is just being an instrument. He's just open to receive. He's just he's saying words when he feels moved, that he's moved to speak. He's going that way because he feels that he has to go that way. He doesn't even know why.
Yeah.
He says things that he's surprised about, that he's saying himself.
Yeah. That is what I thought of it after thinking about it. I just needed a confirmation. Yeah. That's what I was thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So you're basically Christ undercover as Christopher.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
You extend your light into this world, but it is your world that you created. So that's why you forgive everything that's occurring. You literally forgive because you know it has nothing to do with anyone outside of you. No, this is your creation. So by forgiving it, it can become new, and it can be free.
I have a question.
Okay.
I know we spoke about that lately, and follow up on that conversation. I think it is the same thing you were saying about the dying to yourself. When you die to yourself, you make room so that you can, that spirit, that God spirit could integrate yourself, and then it's not no more you controlling anything. It is the God's consciousness that is, and that is being.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I said in this process. It's like things have been taken away, but what is true about you will always be there. So that things will fall away, like friends will fall away, or the habits will fall away. But at the same time, what is real about you will just be there. And that's going to be used to bring light into this world. Absolutely. So that's exactly the same. So you die, the dying is in that sense the dying of the ego, not of anything else. like the dying of the controller, that things that can decide about this and that. I want this and I want that. No, I don't want that. Yes, I do want that. This is good, that is bad, blah, 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 blah. It's like the thing that's always choosing and always comparing and always busy trying to, get a little for itself. Not knowing that that's never going to work. But then, but then when it changes, then it's out of your control. So that brings all the freedom in the world. It doesn't matter. Whatever comes your way, you will take it. It will be brought to you what you have to do. You're in the perfect circumstances for your transformation. Everything is like set up like a perfect training for you. And that's the same when you become an instrument, like everything is being brought to you too. So this is a way for you to extend yourself. Now you can practice to give yourself away. Now you can demonstrate basically that you take responsibility for yourself, for what you think and what you do and what you say. Like now you can become that integrated part that only works if you let go of the control. And then bring this pure energy into your world and bring this power into wherever you go. You know, it's like that is so effective because you have nothing to do with it. And you can just trust what is going on. Yeah, so that's great. So thanks for these questions. That's really cool.
And thank you for the answers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So is there anything that you need to know before you can do this? No, but it has to be like you have to go through these so-called processes of purification, you know, that your body purification or emotional purification. It's like it takes a moment to become this instrument. But in the end, when you are on this process, you discover like all along the way, I was this instrument, but I wasn't aware of it. I was literally a bit in the way of myself. Like I was, the only obstacle to this was who I thought I was. And it can take a while before you see the blind spot, before there's some light cast on your blind spot.
You know, I just want to say something about this awareness. You know, I think that was 2 years ago, I bought a bicycle, you know, a bike.
Yeah.
And I bought it secondhand, you know. So I never knew that there was everything was connected with the light, everything, you know. So when I'm on the way, I'm afraid of the police, you know. So one day I look at that bike, I look at it, and I found it that everything was completed, you know. All the lights are there, everything's okay. So so when I'm driving after that, I became so free. Although the last times, you know, everything was already, but I didn't actually realize it. You know, I was actually separated from it, and I was afraid.
Yeah.
You know? But the time that I realized that the bicycle is okay perfectly, then I start walking and pulling on with confidence and perfection. You know, so that was actually great. Yeah. So the day that we are going to realize our true identity, then we'll say, oh, everything was there, but we're just actually. You know,
yeah, and you're worried about nothing, like always.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Christopher. That's awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for being part of this question and answer. And I will stop the recording in a minute, and I hope to see you soon.